All right, my friends, welcome to episode 6 of Correspondence, where we are interviewing new makers and innovators in the market. And we've been with Rich here for is it about when did you start Billet Spin?
2015, March 2015. So about
2015.
9.5 years now. Yeah.
Wow. And I know you've only you started off with tops and then you got into pens. How did you get into tops in the first place? Were you always a fidgeter?
No, it's a funny story. So my dad started our company in 1987. So we own a job shop called J Style the Machine, the letter J. And my brother and sister and I own it now. And my dad always wanted us to make our own product, but we just do stuff for companies like John Deere. They want stuff to be made, we do it. So we make stuff for everybody else, nothing for ourselves. So I was the plant manager, been working here since I was 14 years old, love machining. Um, and the tooling for machining is extremely expensive. So back then, eBay was booming, and I used to order a ton of expensive tools through eBay. And for some reason there was an auction for board game dice, just regular board game dice, but they were made on CNCs like ours. And I looked at those and I'm like, wow, that's cool. Like, it's really neat. Because with machining, like, we make parts like pulleys and stuff. It's rare that we make something that's like a household item that people use. And especially just on its own, like a pulley goes into a truck. The board game dice is something this is what they are, the finished product. So they were machined really, really nice, and they had like 7 bids on them, and they were bid up to $71 for these aluminum board game dice. So I thought, that is wild. So I did a Google image search, and I tracked it back to a crowdfunding website called Kickstarter.
Yep.
And I had heard of that through Shark Tank. And I watched Shark Tank religiously. I was a big American Chopper guy. So all
I
that
was too
kind of,
back in the day.
were you really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
early 2000s. I used to
I,
watch that show. That's back when I got into motorcycles. So keep
I
going.
love it. So a lot of stuff came from American Chopper, a lot of my motivation and stuff. So when I saw that, I looked it up, and I thought, wow, this is something maybe we should toy with. The main company was pretty slow at the time. And so I went in and I talked to my brother and sister, and I said, listen, let's try making some board game dice. Now, the main company is large. We have 50 employees. So this it's a big company. And my brother and sister are like, listen, we don't want to waste our time with it. If you want to do something, on the side, go ahead. So I started a crowdfunding campaign called Billet Dice. And that's really where it all started. And I quickly learned that there was really no margin in making board game dice. You couldn't charge enough. It was a successful campaign, and we made them, and they really turned out neat. It was just a fun project, and I kind of got addicted to it, to making stuff, and then selling it and shipping it all over the world and stuff. I thought that was just so wild. But while that campaign was running, I found spinning tops. There was another campaign by Forever Spin on Kickstarter, and I think they had raised like $200,000.
Now, at this point, had you used like spinning tops and other fidgets in your life, or was this just kind of
No,
an adjacent jump because you
I
saw
didn't know.
an opening?
I had never heard of EDC before. I'm not a guy that likes to carry stuff. I still am not. I don't. Yeah, like watches. I love watches. Can't wear them. So anyways, I saw the spinning tops, and I thought, wow. And my specialty as a machinist is more lathe biased, where the dice were more mill biased. And so I thought, okay, this is pretty cool. And obviously there's a market for this. So I needed to find out where these collectors hung out. And after about 2 weeks of research, I found this group on Facebook called Pocket Top Talk. And so I made some spinning tops. I did another Kickstarter campaign called Billet Spin. I'm terrible with names. It was the first thing I could think of. And the reason I used billet was because in American Choppers, they started making their own rims, and they said out of billet material. And it was kind of a hot word. And so I said, I'm going to use billet. No matter what, I'm going to use billet in the name. And, and billet is just solid stock. It's not a forging or a casting, it's solid stock. And so that's what I do is I take solid stock and I make these things out of it. So I thought billet spin, it works good enough. Throw the thing up there. And it did okay. But what happened was while that campaign was running in March of 2015, I started to see these spinning tops that other makers like Josh Dawson, Cody Mayfield from Upside Down Works were making. And I thought, wow, these guys got these little Harbor Freight lathes in their basement. I got a $500,000 five axis sitting out here. So while the campaign was running, I came down here on a Saturday and I made some much higher end, lot of milling, very intricate tops. And I messaged Josh Dawson, and this was the first time I ever talked to him. Him and I are good buddies now. But I said, "Hey man, I made these tops. What should I sell them for?" And he looked at him and he's like, "How in the world did you make that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've been machining my whole life and blah blah blah." So he says it should be like $150. And I thought, okay. So I put them up in the group, and I had four of them, and within 30 seconds they sold out. And I
Nice.
was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. So the next week I made eight of them and I changed them a little bit. 30 seconds they sold out. The next week I made like 15 of them. 30 seconds they sold out.
Gotta
So
catch the drop, man.
yeah, I was like, what is going on here? So I went home and I talked to my wife about it. I came in, I talked to my brother and sister about it. And my brother and sister are like, listen, just do what you want to do, but we don't want it in the main company. So I said, no problem. And my wife's like, just don't let it consume you, and I said, yeah, we'll just see how it goes.
Yep, yep.
So I decided to do every other Saturday. I would come to work and I would make these things. And so that was in March of 2015. By August of 2015, I was still selling out of Pocket Top Talk, but these guys knew that my sales had gotten so much bigger that I would have to start on Friday right after work. So
Mhm.
I would work my day job until 3:30 on Friday. Friday at 3:30, I would start designing, and they all knew what my PayPal was. So they would ask me at noon. They would say, "Hey, what are you making this week?" And I said, I'm going to make a three-piece top. It's going to be $150." And I didn't use any exotics back then, all standard materials. So this is when I knew I had found something because at noon I told them it was going to be a three-piece top, $150. At 3:30, I get done with work. I check my PayPal, and I've got like $25,000 in there. And
Man.
I haven't even designed it yet. I don't even know what it's going to be. I just know it's going to be a three-piece top. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So it got so big that I would have to work I would come in out for my day job. I'd get here at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'd work till 3:30. Then I would do billet spin all night. So I would stay the whole night and I would finish about 6 o'clock on Saturday night. So I would be here for like 30 hours and then I'd have to ship everything. And it was just unbelievable. The amount of time and stuff. So, and then at the end of 2015, it got so big, and my brother and sister are like, "Okay, we need to do something here." So we brought it into the main company, and it's been in there ever since. And that's how it all got started. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy.
So it's been kind of a family venture. I mean, I know at first they said they didn't want anything to do with it, but one of the things I was going to ask you, because I always see on Instagram and Facebook, you post pictures of your family. So it's really cool. It's like a family endeavor with your own family,
Yeah.
but it seems like it's your extended elder
Yeah.
family as well that's kind of involved. So
Yeah. My billet spin is made up of me, my my wife, and my two daughters. Everything that gets done here is done by one of the four of us, and then my son also works here, but he's working with the main company. So, and then my brother and sister and I still own the main company. My brother-in-law works here, so yeah, it's one big happy family for the most part here. So
I was going to ask if that is your wife that always answers my customer service emails because
that's
you're
her.
always
Yep.
very
Yep.
responsive. You always say just hit her up and email her. She'll get you what you need. So
Yeah.
I got to apologize for bothering her so much. So thank her for me.
It's you and everybody else. She does a fantastic job. Billet Spin would not be what it is without her for sure. So
So now you started with tops and the fidgets. How did you move into pens?
So that's a great question. So 2016 for us was just madness. We could not keep up with demand, not even close. Like if I told you what we did for sales in 2016, you would not believe it. And we could have done 4 times that just because of how massive it got. So 2017, it dropped off a little bit. 2018, it dropped off a little bit. 2019, it was dropping off more. And I'm like, okay, we need to make a product that that's going to last a long time. Something that's not, I mean, tops were more of a fad, but there's still a really good collector's base out there. But it's not anything near, I would say right now, it's probably about 1/10, maybe 1/12 of what it used to be in 2016. So it's gotten considerably smaller. So I wanted a product that had staying power, something that's going to be around. And I wanted to either make a watch, a knife, or a pen. And
Cool.
obviously, a knife and a watch would be a pretty massive undertaking. And so I said, let's make a pen. And so that's kind of what got me started on it. And then the way I designed the Soul Pen, I wanted to do something that was heirloom quality, something that's going to last, that's super easy to use, has a level of fidget factor, and I wanted to do something that was unlike anything in the market. The problem is pen's been around for a long time, and
Yeah.
people have really explored a lot of different avenues on how to make a pen actuate. Um, so I got creative with the mechanism as far as how the mechanism works internally for robustness, for longevity, for smoothness. But it still works like a regular click pen. So
And
I'm
that's on
really
your
happy.
Instagram too. I was looking up your Instagram today going way back, and I
Mhm.
saw your original design. I think I dated it sometime when I had to do the math. It was like sometime around 2017. You actually still have that
Yeah,
up there. So that was
yeah,
very cool to see. And I respect
yeah,
the in-house design.
yeah. That's what we wanted to do. Um, and it is unique in the fact that it really doesn't click. It just actuates. So it's different than what people expect. Some people love it, some people don't. And it is what it is. But I had that burning desire to do something that is completely unique, like something unlike anything else out there. And that's kind of what happened with the Cam Pen. It was kind of like a challenge to me to like, can we do something that nobody else has done, And
Now, for viewers who don't know, if you're more from the fountain pens, this is a cam pen here, and the activation is completely lateral on that axis there. So,
yeah, that was about, so I don't do anything with a computer. I don't do anything in CAD. I shouldn't say anything. The Gambit coins I do in CAD. None of the other stuff that I've made is done in CAD. It's all done in my brain, and then I program freehand on the machine itself. So it's a lot of numbers. People would say, "Why do you do that?" And that's a whole nother conversation. But I think it brings out the best product in me. And but the Cam Pen was 3 months where I would come to work, this office, shut the lights off, put my head in my arms, and just start thinking about stuff. The Cam Pen was funny because I was really struggling with that mechanism, wanted to do something, really unique. And I knew I had it so close. I wanted to do the lateral actuation. And so I was so close to putting it together. And finally, one night, I was laying there in bed sleeping. I woke up at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I sat up and I'm like, oh my gosh. And this has happened so many times in designing that I wake up in the middle of the night, my subconscious is working on it. I woke up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I figured it out. I immediately got out of bed, came to work, started making it. I was so excited because I've been working on this one little problem, trying to come up with a solution for so long. And I came down here, I made that Cam Pen mechanism, and the very first one I made, the first one worked amazing. Now, I will say I had problems that needed tweaking, but the very first one the actuation was flawless. And it was a pure luck thing because the second one didn't work, but the first one worked. So I was like, oh my goodness, what have I done here? This is so cool. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That's very cool. Yeah, I love the so I mean you have two models. You've got the Soul, which is the classic kind of click mechanism that you in-house designed your click there. And then you've got the Cam Pen like we were just talking about. I just love the fit and finish. Everything is top notch. There's no play in, the mechanism at all. One thing I noticed, because I love my pen so much, I noticed just last week when I was using the Cam Pen, it's one of my top two daily carries for machine pens there. And there's a resonance, and I don't know where the microphone is. I'm going to put a short up on YouTube, but if you
Gotcha.
hold the Cam Pen like this and you flick down on the clip there, it actually creates a resonance, which creates a
Really?
tone. And I'm a
Interesting.
musician, so I caught that. And I was in an elevator when I played it around with it, and I'm walking out of the elevator and I'm holding this up to my ear, and my coworkers are like, "What's going on?" And they're laughing. But I was like, it just goes to show the fit and finish here. You would not get that resonance had all of the tolerances not been extremely precise.
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah.
wanted to compliment you on that.
I appreciate it. My experience as a machinist leading up to when Billet's been started, the our niche is a job shop with Jay Stadler Machine is we do the kind of stuff that other people don't want to do. Close tolerance, really, really tight, just tough parts. And so that having that experience and being good at that gave me a huge leg up on most people when it comes to designing and holding. Because yeah, the tolerances that you have to hold on this stuff in spinning tops were even worse. Like the what you had to hold with spinning tops to keep everything balanced was just crazy. When you started bringing in all these different materials and um, but yeah, it's held tight, like really tight. And I think that gives me a leg up on a lot of people. Just the experience, the type of machining that we have, the type of tooling that we have, really allows us to make a really nice product. And a lot of that stuff, like you look at the Satin Shine Soul Pen, that thing comes off the machine. We do blasting in the teardrops, and we put it back in the machine, and we turn that. That finish is what comes out of the machine. So we get just amazing finishes, which leads to a lot less having to, do extra finishing work because of just the amazing finishes we can hold in the machines. So,
And do you do your anodization in-house, or is that something
yeah,
you signed up for? Very
yeah,
cool.
we do everything in house. We do like what do we an antiqued finish. We do LOS here. We're actually working on a new cam pen barrel, which I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's a twist pattern that I just posted up on Instagram.
Yeah.
So right now what we're trying to do with this pattern, the pattern is beautiful. This is a pattern never seen before. Vegas Forge just made this, got me this material where the pattern's on the outside instead of on the face. It looks amazing, but I'm trying to get a little bit more contrast. So my wife is actually running right now to get some different types of acids. And I talked to some of my buddies and we're working on getting a little bit better contrast for it, but this will
Mhm.
be the first exotic cam pen. So I'll be dropping some of those soon. And
Nice.
but all that stuff is done in house. The only thing that I don't do, Jordy from Focus Works, he's up in Canada. He makes my pocket clips for us. Our milling department got really busy, so it was either don't sell pens or have Jordy make the clips for me. So
Thank you,
uh
Jordy.
yeah, he does a great job.
Now
Love
you
Jordy.
say as well to contact you if you wanted like custom like clip or custom nose cone or anything. What like ballpark if I did want this is actually speaking of Damascus, this is your Fenja Damascene
Yep, yep.
sole here. So anyway, what would be like roundabout ballpark cost if I did want to add like a Damascus clip or nose cone to this?
So what we do, like I use the word custom lightly because I don't want to do any different machining. But if it's something where we want to Frankenstein a pen together using stuff that exists, so like Timascus, you want a Timascus, nose cap, a Timascus end clap, something that we already have. I don't want to give your viewers any disillusions with if somebody calls me and they're like, hey, I want to have a different milled pattern or something. I won't do that because we just don't have time. The machines are running constantly to go. What people don't understand is people don't understand the amount of time it takes to actually do something different. The amount of time it would take to get, so like prototyping for the cam pen, I had probably $40,000 in prototyping. I didn't have a pen done. So like CNC machining is extremely expensive, and then when the machine is sitting, it costs just a ton of money. So, but anyways, to answer your question, I can actually look up the price list because that's a great question. Let's see if I might not have, I didn't add it yet for the cam pen, but for the sole pen I have. So a Timascus nose cap is $180. Timascus end cap is $215. And then a Timascus pocket clip is $90. And for those that aren't familiar with Timascus is crazy expensive. The material itself is crazy expensive. For a barrel, for just the barrel out of Timascus, now this is Damascus, it's probably close to $500 just for the material for that. So we sell those pens, the full Timascus for, 1,000 if it's black Timascus, 1,100, but it's the vast majority of the materials and the cost is in the material itself. So
That's one of my my Grail pens I see posted on Reddit occasionally, is that black Damascus one that pops up here and there. And
yeah,
I know, I mean, if you're watching this channel, chances are you already know about nice pens, so you're not like flabbergasted at the price.
yeah,
But I will say, most all of the machine pens, especially billet spin, NTI, and some tactile turns, they hold their resale value.
yeah,
When I got this, the Damasteel Soul, I sniped that within like 10 minutes as soon as it came online. There was a spinner version that you make that has a little ridge here, so you can spin it on the desk. I
yeah.
really want one of those. I saw one and it went within about 25 minutes, and I was kind of hovering and I was like, oh, I don't know, should I get it? And it was, so stuff holds its resale value really well. So
For
if you're
sure.
hesitant about getting into something like that, no, it is, like you say, an heirloom quality piece. And if you do decide to pass it along down the road, it should easily fetch like 80 to 90% value depending on what it is. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'll always take care of people. If you buy something for me and you have problems, I mean, things happen. I had a guy drop one. Like, I will take care of you. I'll do my best you know, I think that's another thing that we get a lot of on social media is our customer service is really, really good. And it's because I'm one of you, I buy stuff, I've bought watches, I've had issues, so I know what it feels like. And if you buy something from me, as long as I'm alive, I am going to absolutely take good care of you and make sure that you're happy with the product. And if you get something from us and you're not, for any reason, you are unhappy with it, I'll give you a full refund. I'll pay you to ship it back because we want you to be super happy with whatever you get from us. So,
That's awesome. And you get a little bit of swag too. I don't have the little leather sleeve with me, but I got some stickers and the little
yeah,
leather pen sleeve, which is nice because I don't personally sleeve carry, but a lot of people who, carry these pens with that investment would. So
yeah, yeah,
let's see. I wanted to ask you about your knife before we got too deep into it. Can you share any
yeah.
details? What's going on with the knife that you're kind of designing?
Yeah. Wonder if oh, I got it right here. So, yeah, so the knife is something I've wanted to do. Basically, I told you back it was going to be a watch, a knife, or a pen. So I've wanted to do a knife, and we actually made a knife. I've not told hardly anybody this, but we had a very big name in the knife industry ask us to make a knife back in, I think it was probably 2017. And I said, I'll do it because, and I was very clear with this person, I'll do it because I want to learn how to make knives because eventually I want to make my own knife. And that, just because of how busy we were, that project turned into a real nightmare. And we made the knives. There was a lot of issues. It was a huge learning experience and it cost us a ton of money. So it is what it is. Fast forward to now. I said, hey, we got the pens under control. The cam pen is really dialed. The Soul Pen Gen 2 is just doing extremely well. And it's just working really, really good. Very well received with the market. So I feel like I've jumped all the hurdles with those two pen lines. So I'm ready for something new. And I started to do this collaboration with Christopher Bathgate, and then that kind of got sidelined because of the machines that we had open at the time. But we had mills that got opened up. And so most of the stuff with us with pens, anything that's round, for people that don't know machining, anything that's round, that's done on a lathe, and anything that's not round square, that's done on a milling machine. So very rarely do I get open milling machines because of the type of product that we make with the job shop. Well, we had a machine that was open, a horizontal, and so we had a big meeting and we're like, let's start going on knives. So I wanted to make something that was not too crazy because the learning curve for knives is massive. So I decided I'm going to make a button lock, but I'm going to make a really, really good button lock. So there's issues with button locks, but I feel like I've got an idea with this that's going to kind of separate us, and this lock should be pretty amazing. So we started with that. We've taken this slow. This is we're probably 4 or 5 months into this. I spent the first 2.5 months just designing the knife. And so I went into it and I said, I like to have a theme. When I'm designing something new, I like to have a theme. And I said, I want to do facets. Yeah, no.
Okay, hold it up. Hold it up. Let me see.
So it's I wanted to do facets, and I don't know if it's going to show up clear. So this is titanium scale. So you can see the angle up here, the angle here, the angle here. So everything is done in angles. The perimeter. What's also really cool about it is there's no backspacer, so it'll be milled in. So it's kind of like an integral, but
I see.
not really
Yeah.
an integral. Yep. So the blade will fit in the pocket there. And
so for people who don't know, there's typically like two slabs, and then you've got like a backspacer in between holding them together. So this one, it looks like it actually widens out at the bottom. So the two slabs themselves are inherently the frame.
Exactly. Yep. And then you can see there's a lanyard loophole in here. And so what we're doing right now is we're trying to really get this cross pattern, this texture pattern really dialed in, which is a real pain. This is done with CAD. One of the few things I do with CAD, but this one we had to do with CAD. But I don't know if the video will show it, but there's a big curve in here and the texturing follows it. It's very, very complicated. This is one of those things that when you get it, it's going to take you a while looking at it to really see all the details that are in this thing. And I did a 3D printed one. I don't have it in here, but we bought a 3D printer just to prototype this.
Yeah.
And because of the faceted edges, the comfort of it, it just feels so good in your hand. The choil is going to have a choke up choil on it. The blade looks sick.
Yeah, I love all my blades if I can choke up on them. That's an extra special thing. What about are you doing washers? You doing
we're gonna do my plan is to do multi-row bearings.
Cool. Bearings, so very smooth.
Yeah, should be super smooth. I want it to be, just the smoothest action that you can possibly get. So hardened washers down in there, down in the counter bores, and then with the multi-row bearings. So
what are we doing for the blade metal? Have you got that done yet? Or still working?
MagnaCut. I got a piece of MagnaCut sitting behind me, so probably that's a whole nother conversation. But my son-in-law is a knife maker, fixed blade, called Fox River Blades, and I've been helping him with his fixed blades, and we've been working with some different materials, and we did MagnaCut. And I was really blown away with that material. So I was very impressed with it. Yeah.
I was going to say for like 10 years, 15 years, it was like there was a new steel of the year, like every 12 to 18 months. And then that would take the market by storm. Since MagnaCut has come out, that has really leveled the playing field where it's almost not worth looking. And like my knife, I came into pens from knives because my knife drawer was full, and that's how I kind of moved my way on into our heirloom quality pens. But my knife drawer is full, so pretty much unless there's something really nice that I would consider, and it would have to be MagnaCut at this point. So I'm happy that you're looking at MagnaCut, and your knife does look very appealing. So I'd love to give it a try or a buy when it comes out.
My goal is to have one done by Christmas, but it's already getting late in the year. But we're working actually right now currently on it. Yeah.
I'm excited.
And I don't want to spoil the surprise too, but it looks like there's sometimes in this designing stuff where you get stuff and it's like, okay, we're going to have to do some tweaking here. And then there's other times where you get it in your head and it's like, wow, this is really, really good. And I did have a ton of help from Tashi Barucha. He has helped me. I've had help from a lot of different knife makers.
Yep.
I don't even want to name them all just because I don't want to forget anybody, um, but yeah, it's been awesome to have the community kind of rally behind me here and help me with this because there's a lot to it. I mean, making a knife
Yeah.
it is really difficult.
And it's a tough
Especially
market to enter too, man. Like I
yeah,
said, like it's a very condensed market, less so than
yeah,
the pen market. So it's good that you have your following, from the tops and the pens to kind of help you
yeah.
through.
We got a good reputation, and we have the following, so I think that'll give us a jump start. I don't like doing shows, but we'll probably do some shows once we get this thing going and proven out. The hard thing is, this is what I learned with the pens is like we did. I have a group of guys, kind of like a think tank. We made the cam pen. We did so much testing. I sent it out to those guys. They would test it. They would, send it back. We would look at it, break it down. Extensive testing. We had, I mean, legit millions of clicks on collectively between all of us on the cam pen. But when you start selling the kind of volume that we do, and they get out in there, and you're selling thousands of pens, and then everybody's using it, there's always some issues that come up. It's just the way it works. And like I said before, we'll always take care of people. But that's going to be the thing with this knife. I'm going to go a little bit slower with the release on these, just because I really want to get them out into the wild. I want people to do what they do with them, and then we can just keep making this knife better. As we hear back, get feedback back from people, and just you know, so it's going to be more once we do start selling them. It's going to be. I'm going to take it slow because I want to do it right, quality over quantity right now, and then because it's our first one, and I just don't want to. If you get a ton of them out there, and all of a sudden you have an issue, it can turn into a nightmare for you. So I don't want that. So we'll tread lightly on this one.
Yeah, well, that's respectable, and that's how you built up your namesake is quality over quantity. So, real quick, is the whistle coming back anytime soon? Because I missed my chance to get like a Damascus whistle there.
Yeah, the whistle. So when I did the whistle, I wanted to do something again that was unlike anything in the market. So I actually made that what I did there. I don't know of anything else that's like that. The way that it makes the noise. The problem with it, again, I did extensive testing and there was no problem. We shipped them out, and I would say 1 out of 10 people could not make it whistle.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It, like
super crazy.
air velocity, or yeah, that's weird.
The way they position their lips, and it's just the way that I normally do it, and everybody else here apparently. So it was just one of those where I'm like, okay, if I'm not going to make any more like that, just because it's just when you sell a lot of them and you have 1 to 10 people unhappy,
Yeah,
it's just too much of a problem. So I would love to do them again, but I would change the front of it to make it, and then I would send them out to like 30 or 40 different people to make sure everybody can make them whistle. So
yeah. I was gonna say it's got to be the way that they're like holding it in their mouth,
yeah,
but that's too
most
bad because
people,
I'd love to get my hands on one.
yeah, I would say probably of the people that couldn't make it whistle after they contacted us and I showed them how to do it, 9 out of 10 of those could make it whistle. And so I had one guy, I'll just tell you a story. This is just customer service and super guy. I know this guy, personally, not, we never met personally, but I've dealt with him through Billet Spin for a long time. And he's a fantastic guy. And he's like, he swore to me, he said, Rich, there is no way that this thing whistles. There's no way. So he sent it to me. I actually videotaped the box, me opening the box, wiping it down, and the thing was louder. It's so loud, and I'm like, I don't. And he was so blown away by that. I put it in my mouth, and it was so loud, and it was his whistle. And yeah, that's just how customer service is sometimes. And it's
Yeah.
nothing against him whatsoever. It's just not a good fit for him personally, and that's
And
okay.
anytime you're making anything, for such a large amount of people, like you said, there's going to be someone along the way that has some sort of issue with how they hold it or how they're, positioning it, something or other.
That
So,
always. There's
yeah.
never there's nothing I'm ever gonna make where it's just perfect for everybody. It's never gonna be the case. So that's why taking care of people is the important thing because those situations are gonna happen and it's not their fault that this doesn't work for them. It's just a bad situation or an unfortunate situation. And so we always take care of those guys for sure.
We took a quick break. Welcome back. when we took our break, I went on Instagram and I went over to Fox River Blades and I'm following. So good stuff there too.
Yeah.
Let's see. We talked about your upcoming knife. We talked about the whistle. Your next drop for pens, it looks like it might be that cam pen, the Damascus version.
Yeah. Damascus, so we're working on all exotic cam pens right now. So what happens is when we make our titanium and Zerk, we buy tubing. So when you get exotic materials like Damasteel or Damascus or Timascus, it's solid stock. So we have to cut them, and then we have to open up we have to drill a hole through the whole ID and basically turn it into tubing, and then we run it like we normally do. So it's a lot more labor intensive. So we're prepping all that material right now, but you'll see a full variety of full exotic pens or partial exotic pens coming for the cam pen now, which is long overdue. A lot of people have been asking for that. And but this first one, yeah, really, it looks really good. So I just checked on the brake. Sue's got the stuff. She's etching it right now. And we're gonna see if we can up that contrast a little bit. But I'm real excited for that first one. There'll be some really cool ones. My favorite one of the Soul Pen is the Zerk, polished Zerk with black Timascus barrel, and then black Timascus clip, and then black Damascus pusher with the polished Zerk nose cap and end cap. So I'm going to do one similar to that. The only downside is my friend Brian Fellholter, he gave me some advice that I've stuck to. He said, don't ever do screws out of Zerk. And I said, okay, if you tell me that, I'll listen to you. So apparently he's got some customer service issue with that. So I won't do that. Zerk is pretty soft. And it can distort and stuff. So with screw threads, if somebody just over tightens it a little bit, I could see where it would be a real nightmare. So, but we'll figure out a cool combo for it. But yeah, black Timascus, regular Timascus, white Timascus, the Damascus pattern. We have more Fenja. We'll be doing that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
In a cam pen or another Soul?
Yeah, and a cam pen.
Oh,
yeah.
no. Oh, man. I
Yeah.
got to start saving up to have a matching pair here.
That one you have, that was one of the combos when we did that Fenja with the titanium. I was like, wow, I absolutely love that pen. I think that turned out so good. So
yeah, my wedding ring is Damascus and Meteorite. I've always loved the history of swords. So Damascus, I know Damascus of today is very different than the Damascus of lore, but in history, Damascus holds a special place, and it should have in the era when it was, around. It deserved that reputation. So I love Damascus, even though some people it's not for them. So I really liked the Fenja. When I was able to get this, I definitely grabbed it. And at the time, I had a twist Zerk Soul, which I liked, but I liked the milling on that is top notch for any of the twist pens. I think that's some of the most incredible milling. But I'm a fidgeter, so I like the smoother body on the teardrop Soul, and that's one of the reasons I ended up keeping this one. But yeah, I love the Damascus, so thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll be very curious to see. I'm excited. Like I get giddy to just put it together, to get this stuff done. And when we were etching this new Damascus pattern, I was sitting up there like a kid in a candy store just watching that pattern come out because you can't tell when it's silver. You have no idea what it looks like.
Don't know what you're gonna get.
I tell you, I got the best job in the world. I just love doing this stuff. So
that's cool. Well, on more fun ventures here, would you be okay with a mini lightning round where I just ask you kind of random questions and you can just go shoot from the hip? I'm not going to ask you any questions about other pen competitors or anything like that. So it's all
you can ask me. I am an open book. I don't have you ask me whatever you want. I'll answer anything you ask me. So
all right, lightning round with Rich from Billet Spin. Our first question, I think I know the answer, but for our viewers, Chevy or Ford?
Ooh, I've had both. Boy, it's a tough one. I would take Chevy right now. I would take Chevy.
That's why I thought I knew the answer because I saw you had a Camaro.
Yeah, I sold it. I had a Corvette, a Camaro, and then we had a Mustang. And my wife had the Mustang, and I loved all of them. The Corvette was definitely my favorite. I had a C7, but I had the Camaro, and we were renovating our house, and so I sold the Corvette and then took the extra money between the Corvette and Camaro and put it into the house. But one day I was trying to get my golf clubs in the back of the Camaro, and I couldn't get it in there. And I had a 1LE. It was an awesome car, but I couldn't get my golf clubs. It was hard to get them in there, and I had a bad round, and so I'm trying to get those golf clubs in there, and I'm like, I had had enough, so I traded it in the next day, and now I'm driving a Jeep Grand Cherokee, so I'm like an old man now, but it is what it
Yeah.
is.
So I used to ride motorcycles, and then
Oh, me
when
too.
I got married, I got a an old Dodge Dakota to fix up, like because I just always liked that look of that particular truck since I was a kid, and
Yeah,
I fixed it up a bunch, kept it till it was just over 25 years. I did the same thing as you. I just ended up selling it and putting it into now I have a Ford Expedition to drive the kids around. So
nice, nice.
respect. Do you drive motorcycles too, or did you
Yeah.
ever? Okay.
Oh yeah.
What do you have any bikes right now? What do you have in the stable?
Yeah. I have a Tracer, a Yamaha Tracer 900 GT. But I've always had crotch rockets my whole life.
Mhm.
I wiped out a FCR 600 when I was 19, going 125 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Um, that was brutal. And then I had an old Interceptor, Honda Interceptor 1000. I had that. I had a 450 Nighthawk. I had a ZX14. That was definitely the
Wow. Blackbird.
yeah yeah
No, wait, that was a
I
Kawasaki, right? ZX.
Yep. Yeah, it's 1400 engine. I drag raced that one. Um, that bike, that was a lot of bike, the ZX14. And then I sold that one, and my daughter got into bikes, so she's got a little naked 650 and Kawasaki. So I bought this Tracer, and then my wife rides on the back of it, and we got bags and a back bag so she can lean up against that. And we can take all our jackets and helmets and stuff. And
Yeah.
so I love riding. I live up in Wisconsin in the country. Animals are my biggest worry. I'm not really bothered by other people as much. But
Mhm.
we got deer and turkeys and everything can kill you on a motorcycle. But I
Yeah.
love riding though. Absolutely love it. So
So I'm a little bit similar to you with one of the more crestfallen downward spirals there. I my first bike was a CB750. My second bike was a sport bike. It was an SV1000, which was like the Suzuki Ducati
yeah,
kind of clone. And I wiped out, I was 18 and a half at the time, and I wiped out going faster than I should too. So I definitely, bore one out. I feel you there. But
yeah,
I stuck with it. I came back on a cruiser. I had a VTX 1800, like a
nice.
100-inch V-twin from Honda, which was a great bike. And I had that for like 6 or 7 years. And then I ended up getting hit from an 81-year-old who didn't stop for a stop sign. And at that point, I paid off some bills and stuff like that. And then my then girlfriend, now wife, said I'm not allowed to get another motorcycle until the kids are in college because, as you said, it's dangerous. So she wants to keep me around. So that's why
Absolutely.
I'm into pens nowadays. So that's my
Nice.
my
That's
story, right?
safer. Hard to kill yourself out with a pen, right? So
Yeah. All right, well, let's jump back into the lightning round. So if you are picking a pen for yourself, you're just going to carry it for the day yourself. Are you going to grab a titanium or a zirconium pen?
titanium.
Yep,
Yeah.
light, nice and easy. All right. Now, next one is I've seen you wear the same decor on Instagram and stuff a lot, and a lot of people don't know I am a big camouflage aficionado. I've tested multiple different types, and that brand, the Cryptek, is the pattern, and a lot of people just don't even know it's the pattern because it's on other apparel like Huck and stuff.
Yep.
Are you familiar? Do you like that camouflage, or is it just happenstance because it's on the Huck shirt?
So yeah. So with clothes, yeah, I'm an anomaly with clothes. Uh, I have I have one pair of pants. I have the same pair of pants, just multiples, but I literally own one pair of pants, and I have 10 pairs of the same pants. So when I find something that's comfortable, so I have a couple of these, and then I have this in different colorways. Um, and then yeah, so you'll see me in the same stuff pretty much all the time. I have a hat, I wear it till it's worn out. Uh, Shoes is kind of the same thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, I just when I and it's really about comfort. I've been married for 27 years, so I just purely care about comfort. And these Huck shirts are just they're super comfortable, and yeah,
Nobody really notices, but I've got from when I go to work, I've got that one pair of pants in like six different colors. And
yeah,
due to the Huck is more of a fishing brand, that pattern is
yep.
more of a woods brand. If you're going to go spend a day, are you going to go spend a day on the water or hiking in or doing something in the woods, water or woods?
On the water. I fished tournaments for 12 years of my life. I fishing was all I did. That was I stopped in 2012, but I'm a huge fisherman. I I I have to have a boat, and I've never hunted a day in my life. I have no desire to hunt. It seems just terrible to me. Like I don't have any problem with hunting. It's just like my buddies are like, "Hey, it's I like warm. I'm going to retire in Florida. You know, it's 40 degrees outside," and they're like, "Hey, let's go sit in a tree." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that just sounds terrible to me." So
Yeah.
no, I'm on the water for sure.
Okay. All right. Our next one was again, if you're grabbing a pen just for yourself, are you going to grab Damascus or Damascus?
Timascus every day of the week. I love a black Timascus over white Timascus, but both of them, absolutely my favorite. It's just when I flame Timascus, it's I've flamed thousands and thousands and thousands of things out of Timascus. I still get excited every time I fire that torch up, and I still do with Damascus when we etch it. There's just something about Timascus that, man, I love that material. I just love it.
Nice.
So yeah.
Cool. All right. Next one is more of a logistics, just you probably have a better answer, but if I wanted the best spin top material for the longest spin, what's the best material that you found for the absolute longest spin?
Tungsten for sure. The problem with tungsten is tungsten is not made like normal material, so you get density variations in it. So to get it balanced well is pretty much impossible. That's why I stopped making tops out of tungsten. But for the weight, for the size, it's gonna give you the longest. I made a infinity top that was spun by Richard Calione that was tungsten and aluminum, and he spun it for 45 minutes, hand spun 45 minutes. So
Wow.
yeah,
Is there
crazy.
is there like a Guinness World Record or anything for that, or like
Yeah,
is that a
I
thing?
actually think Simonelli, he makes Maxwell tops. If Are you familiar with a Maxwell top at all?
No, I know basically nothing in of the top world except for seeing
Okay.
your website. So,
So what a Maxwell top is the center of gravity is actually lower. It looks like a bell. It looks
mhm.
like a bell you'd ring like this, and the contact point is up inside, and the weight is down below it. And then they have a spin base that's kind of like a candle where it goes up inside of it. So you can actually set the top on the spin base and it won't tip over because the center of gravity is below the contact point. That's called a Maxwell top. And Simonelli makes those, and he's spun his over an hour. It's like, I don't know, hour and 25 minutes or something. But he spins it multiple times. Once it's going, he
Huh.
actually re-grabs the stem and gets it going because it's got a lot of mass. They're very heavy and the stem is long and skinny. So he spins it like 3, 4 times and then he starts the clock. So it's a kind of a different type of spinning. Different type of top because it doesn't tip over where tops I make, they all tip over. So but I've made a lot of tops that have spun over half an hour by certain people. I've never personally spun one over half an hour. The most I got was just under 25 minutes ever. But some people are just when you watch them spin, they're animals. Like they grip it so hard and rip it. So, but yeah, tungsten copper would be the next material, and I like copper because it's uniform dense,
Uh-huh.
and so you get a much better quality. It just spins so smooth and true. So,
And any intent to bring that Soul Spinner back at all?
so the deal with that one is I told you we ordered tubing. Well, the tubing I made that one of the community members reached out to me and he said, "Hey, you know what would be cool?" And this was his idea. His name is Matt McCafferty. He's an idea guy. He won't mind me sharing his name at all. He's an idea guy. He has a lot of ideas. Some of them are really good, and some of them are just ideas that I don't know. I never followed through with on them because I didn't think anything would amount from them. But so I said, I think that's a cool idea. Let's try it. So I made it, but I had to make it out of solid stock. So I had to drill it out. It was just a lot more extensive work. And then it wasn't a huge seller for us. It did well, but not enough for me to justify getting custom material made. When I order custom material, I have to order it. I'd have to order enough for probably 1,500 pens,
Oh
and
wow.
it would take me a long time to sell 1,500 of the ring version. So
Yeah.
um, I'm not saying I'm never going to do it again. If I ever came up with the right scenario where the machines were open and I wanted and I got enough demand for them, you know, I would make maybe 50, 60 of them just for people that want them. So,
Cool. Well, you heard the scoop here, guys.
yeah.
And our last question: Coke versus Pepsi.
Oh, that's a good one. Coke. Yeah, Coke.
Coke Classic. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not a big soda drinker. I drink a lot of water.
Yeah,
I,
me
I
too.
yeah, yeah. I'm trying to lose some weight, and but I've never really been I'm more of a juice guy,
Mhm.
juice and water guy. So I will drink soda, but it is pretty rare.
Yeah, I stopped drinking way back when they started putting the high fructose corn syrup in it. So I usually have just water and coffee and maybe some
Yeah,
wine or something with my wife at night. So yeah.
absolutely. It's amazing when you don't drink it for a while and then you drink it, how bad you feel after you drink it. So it's just not worth it to me.
Yeah, even if you hit the fast food restaurants, you can still ask for a bottle of water. That's what I do.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
mean, the bottle of water they'd sell you for a buck. They're only spending like 15 cents on the syrup for the water. So get your money's worth, right?
Absolutely.
Hey,
Yep.
Rich, I wanted to thank you so much, so very much for coming on our channel and talking just at length for, all of these different topics. It's been great chatting with you. Thank you for sharing some of your upcoming projects. Now we've got our inner, scoop on the knife. I'll be looking forward to that, and I'll keep my eye out on the secondary market for any whistles or the spinner pens too. And I'm gonna post that. I was so amazed when I found that resonance on that when I flicked that. There's actually
You're the first person to bring it up, so that's pretty amazing.
there's
So,
an instrument. It's called the mbira. It's like an African thumb piano, and it's basically there's like a baseboard, and they find pieces of metal and they just kind of flick them and they make a tone. And yours has that same exact feel. So I'm gonna put that up on the shorts and I'll share that with you. But it's just been amazing
awesome.
talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on board and talking to us.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on.
Anytime, man. We'll definitely be in contact with you. Do you want to share the best ways to reach you? So we've got Instagram, your website. Do you want to share those? And all
Yeah.
of them will be linked below too.
Okay, yeah. So billetspin.com is our website. That's where we sell everything. Our Instagram is billetspin_tops. Facebook group is billetspin. And if you have any questions, concerns, anything, my wife's our customer service is support@billetspin.com.
Cool. Thank you again, Rich. Tell everybody working there that we appreciate each and every one of you, and we will talk to you soon.
I will do that.